Steven Crowder made a video a couple days back. I didn't even watch it. Didn't really care. I thought it was yet another one of his, like, big conservatives are fighting alongside big tech now. I didn't really understand the significance of his video because I didn't watch it. Then I found out that it was actually about him complaining about a contract. Now, I myself am a content creator in the political arena, in the political space. So, you know, I understand what it's like when you get underpaid, when a big platform is taking away your work and only giving you back a percentage that you have no control over. Okay? Maybe this is going to be good. Let's take a look. Here is Steven Crowder complaining about a contract that was given to him by Big Con. Now, we don't know which conservative corporation has offered him a contract. We don't know the details of the contract at this moment. And a lot of people, including Jordan Peterson, actually decided that this was valid. Jordan Peterson, since then, when new revelations came out, deleted that tweet offering support to Steven Crowder. But let's take a look at what he had to say.
Big tech is in bed with Big Con. The people you thought, the people I thought were fighting for you, a lot of it has been a big con. Now, I'm specifically avoiding naming names or going after individuals in this video because I genuinely hope that those I'm addressing, and you know who you are, have a change of heart. Don't sign these contracts. I now know what you are signing out there. I have the luxury of not having to. Let me go through this. If any of the major platforms issues a content strike such that Crowder cannot be monetized on such platform, the fee will be reduced by 25%. And then another 20% of it happens on Apple. And then another 10% of it happens on Facebook. And then another 10% of it happens on Spotify. And then if you get a strike, meaning a suspension, another 20%. Just to drive it home, you get hit by a car, you have a sick day, you could lose $100,000 a day. This is what's sent out to everybody.
We didn't know at the time what the details of this contract were, but turns out, and Will Sommer actually did a pretty good job covering this, there's a big feud breaking out tonight between the two of the biggest names in right-wing media. It pits Steven Crowder against Ben Shapiro's Daily Wire all over $50 million that Steven Crowder was offered as a first round of negotiations, which implies that it was going to go up higher over a 4-year contract that he found so offensive that Crowder leaked the terms of the offer. Now, yesterday, Crowder, newly independent and trying to build his own media company, released the terms of the deal without naming Daily Wire. Crowder made this out to be a big whistleblower moment, urging his fans to fight Big Con and join his email list, of course. As is the case, get my mugs, buy my shitty products that I make in Indonesia, that I upmark by 100x, as I shill you more unfettered, untampered, racist, agitated propaganda. Crowder focused on two parts of the offer in his video: that he would lose money if he failed to deliver all of his contracted episodes, and that his money could be reduced if he was banned from YouTube or other platforms. He left out that this contract was over $50 million as an opening offer. Fans quickly figured out Crowder was talking about the Daily Wire. So last night, the Daily Wire CEO Jeremy Boring, this right-wing mogul empire builder character, put out his own hour-long video effectively calling Crowder a moron for misconstruing the offer. The reaction among the right-wing fan base was initially with Crowder, as I talked about, but now seems to be shifting against him with the revelation that he treated a $50 million contract like it was indentured servitude. One final detail: Jordan Peterson, whose podcast is hosted by the Daily Wire, as I already pointed to, was apparently unaware of who Crowder's video was actually about and initially tweeted his support for him. Someone appears to have gotten to him, though, because Peterson later deleted the tweet. In his video, Steven Crowder insists that this is a slave contract and says there's no need to be enslaved like this. Then the Daily Wire revealed this slave contract was for $50 million over 4 years, 4 weeks off a year, and Crowder never working Fridays. Not a bad deal. Now, as someone who makes a lot of money and is a political commentator, I will tell you this much. I think it's more so that Crowder feels that his autonomy is being taken away from him in this contract, and that's most of his concerns, okay? I'm going to be as charitable as I can to Steven Crowder, thinking about Steven Crowder like he is not Steven Crowder, but instead a human being who is worthy of $50 million for a brief moment, just for the sake of this argument. Ultimately, one of the funniest parts about this is the reality that there is a racism clause in the contract. Steven Crowder is understandably upset. I mean, we're not talking about his indentured servitude complaints because that's hilarious, okay? But what is funny about this is that because he is famous for racism and because that's his output, that's his content in general, he is noticeably frustrated by the fact that he's like, you want me to do racism for you, Daily Wire, under the Daily Wire banner, but you are also simultaneously asking me telling me that I can't get banned. I find that to be particularly funny. He's like, but you want me to do my thing. It's like telling LeBron James that, like, if he puts up more than 30 points a game, they're going to cut his funding because Steven Crowder is the LeBron James of racism. They're like, hey, Steph Curry, nice contract you got here. We're going to give you hundreds of millions of dollars. You can't shoot three-pointers. You're just not allowed. At any given game, you are no longer allowed to shoot three-pointers. It's like, brother, that's why you hired me. So in a weird way, I understand why he's upset because he's like, of course I'm going to get banned. I am the best at getting banned. I'm such a racist. You love my racism. You want me to do it under the banner of Daily Wire. But then you get mad if that racism ends up, costing you contracts. The reaction among right-wing fan base we talked about already. Possibly relevant in November, roughly 2 months after the Daily Wire negotiation broke down, Steven Crowder was defending Kanye by complaining about people with Jewish last names in conservative media, duping talent with confusing contracts. Now, one thing, I mean, there's so many components of the story that I, of course, want to talk about. I tweeted about this last night. The money I make comes directly from voluntary subscriptions to an otherwise free form of entertainment. You can get it for free. Not only that, but you can even use it for free as the IP is released. And people still choose to give $5 or a free Twitch Prime subscription. And I'm not touching the amount of revenue that Steven Crowder is demanding, the amount of contracts that Steven Crowder is, like, apparently comfortable receiving, and yet people still, his peons still unironically and expectedly turned around and did the same defense. They were like, oh, shut up. I don't know how they have this kind of money, though, okay? I don't know how. I do not understand how the Daily Wire franchise has this kind of money. My expectation is that oil barons, like the ones that started the Daily Wire with a $4.7 million investment back in 2015, are continuously pumping them full of funds because there is no way you can give Steven Crowder $50 million over the course of 4-year contracts. Like, you just can't do it. There's no shot. That is CNN money. Even if they are making $100 million a year, which I think is a really high amount, offering 50 just to, like, buy out the other competitor, I guess, and put them under their banner, that's insane. There has to be some nefarious, nebulous ways that these guys are getting funded. Anderson Cooper makes $12 million a year, by the way, under this contract. Crowder would make $12.5 million a year. I mean, how much money does CNN generate, though? CNN's yearly revenue is $2 billion annually. CNN generates $2 billion. Do you think the Daily Wire generates $2 billion? There is something that does not make sense about this. The Daily Wire says it is a $100 million a year business. A $100 million a year business offering $12.5 million to Steven Crowder is insane. That's crazy. Now, before we continue to investigate, like, how they are able to generate this much wealth, I want to talk about one other aspect of this story. And that aspect of the story is directed at all of my supposedly leftist criticizers who say, Hasan, you are simply a grifter. You are not a Maoist third worldist like I am living in Iowa. If I wanted to grift, why the would I be on your side? Why would I be around people who genuinely generate content by just shitting on whoever they perceive as the largest leftist out there? This is what the left is known for. Self-defeating dumbasses. It is infinitely and unimaginably better for me to be a right-wing grifter. If I had no convictions, if I did not have a true moral compass, if I didn't care about what I was saying and the impact that I may or may not have on a future generation, then I would just be a right-wing grifter. It is not hard to be a right-wing grifter. These guys are not very entertaining. Dave Rubin, enough for you to understand. Dave Rubin has a sustainable business. If I can make left-wing content entertaining, you bet your ass I can make right-wing content entertaining, okay? So I just want people to understand this because there is something there.